Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to look at some images in JPEG, RAW and my edited final versions. So recently I released two videos that I recorded in the south of France in Gorges du Verdon, and I got a lot of positive response to that, and I thought it would be nice to show you the difference between a JPEG straight out of camera, the RAW file and the final edit, and you will see that there is a massive difference between those three. And I always get the questions if I do a lot of editing, if I over edit my images, if I spend a lot of time on editing. Well, I think I don't. And if you're thinking while looking through those images that I over edit my images or that I spend a lot of time doing it, at the end I will show you a couple of 1-minute edits to show you how little I edit to achieve the results that you're going to see in my final versions. So these are a couple of images that you've seen in the first video from Gorge du Verdon, and a couple of images that are not shown at all, that I recorded while out with my family, driving around, where I didn't have a video camera. So I have a lot of material that's not shown in the first two videos, but I did include them in this video, so there is some new material here. So let's just dive into these shots, and let me show you the massive difference that editing can do to your images, because I can already tell you that I will never be a JPEG photographer. One side note here, I never pay attention to the white balance in my when I'm out photographing, because I know I will always change it in post-processing. So I always shoot in auto white balance, and you will see that in the JPEGs, because most of them are quite flat, and in the editing I just raise the white balance a little bit to the warmer side to achieve the results that I have. So it can be better JPEG files if I would specifically go for a JPEG shot. So but just to show you, I think you will never achieve the results with a JPEG version. So let's dive into the first images, and I will show you what I did with it. So first image here of the little church of Castellane. You see I shot this as a 16:9 aspect ratio, and the JPEG is saved in a 16:9 format. So this is the JPEG. What you're going to see every time is JPEG, RAW, final edit. So in this case, this is the JPEG. You can see why I went for 16:9 in the left corner. Up here there was some power lines that I really didn't like. So this is the RAW file. So the RAW file is saved in 4:3 format. And you can see that these are very prominent, and it's a real flat, dull image in the RAW file. So I deliberately chose to go for a black and white in this case. So this is the final edit, and you can see it's a massive difference compared to the RAW file and compared to the JPEG, where the sky doesn't have those nice contrasts in it. So next image, this one is more about color. You know, this is the final version in JPEG. This is the RAW file. You can see it's much darker, and this is my final edit. So I cut it down a little bit to 3:2, I think, and I just made those colors pop out of the image. And this is the part where it's going to be, quite crazy maybe. So you see here, this is my JPEG version of this mountaintop. The next version is the RAW file, and you can see that I really exposed for that sky. I was just worried that that sky would be overexposed, so that's what I exposed for, making the foreground a little bit darker. So that's why I shot this as a high resolution image, handheld high res shot. And this is my final edit. You know, I just pulled up those shadows, not much going on here than only this minor change in editing. And this is a fantastic result. You see, this is the JPEG version of this shot, and this is where that white balance tweak comes in. This is the auto white balance. So this is the white balance that the camera chose for this specific scene. And you can see that this is the JPEG version. You can see it's much darker in the foreground, but my final edit, and this is one that I'm actually really happy with, I cut it down to a 1:1, and look at the massive difference here. This is my final edited version, and I absolutely love this image. I think it's fantastic. So I will show this image at the end of the video, how I edited it in 1 minute, and you will see that you don't need to do much to achieve a result like this. If you're hearing all kinds of noises, I decided to sit in my garden for once. You know, the weather is nice here in the Netherlands, so I thought let's record this video outside. Next version, this is the JPEG version, and again a real flat white balance here, and it could be much better if you increased the white balance or put it on a different position in camera, but this is all what the camera chose as an auto white balance. And this is the JPEG, and again, or the raw file, sorry, so you can see again I exposed for those highlights. I always expose for the highlights to make sure that they are not blown out in my images. And this is my final edit. Pulled up the shadows, did a bit increasement of white balance, and this is the final result. I think I cut away a little section on the left. Yes, I did that to put this tree here a little bit more prominent in the image. So that's why I decided to go for that crop. This version here, I think this is quite a different version in the final edit. So this is the JPEG straight out of camera. This is the raw file, and again I exposed for those highlights to not be overexposed, and the final edit is really totally different, and I actually think I cropped it back to a portrait version. I actually did that, so this is the final edit that I made, and you can see the massive difference here from the JPEG out of camera, the raw file, to the final edit. So there is a huge difference here in these images, and I really like this shot. So this is another scene where I just increased the white balance. I will show you this one in the end, also in the post-processing. I think I cropped it back because of this camper fan here in the bottom a little bit. So this is the JPEG version, the raw file, and my final edit, just increasing that white balance to make it a more atmospheric shot. And this is actually how it looked in reality, but the camera just adjusted the white balance completely different than I wanted to. So the auto white balance, I would recommend just to choose your own white balance if you want to go for a JPEG shot. This mountaintop, massive difference here. Just look at this. This is the mountaintop that I shot with a long lens, and this is the JPEG version. The next shot is the raw file. Well, something's going wrong here. So there's something in this file, I guess. If I open it like this, you can see it. So this is the raw file. You see something goes wrong when processing this raw file, but let's skip this one. But this is my final edit. So look at the massive difference between, I'll just open these two files here, the JPEG version and the raw file. You know, there's much more detail in the sky here, and I just increased that white balance a little bit to pull back those colors of the rising sun that were hitting that mountaintop there. So let's continue with the next images. So this was the opposite direction from the sunrise. So I was looking the other side, and this is the JPEG straight out of camera. Again, something is wrong with the raw processing of this computer, so and I think it has something to do with the high resolution files, that this photo viewer that I'm using is not recognizing these. But this is the final edit that I did, and this is the JPEG version. So JPEG out of camera, and this is the final edit after I used Lightroom. So let's have a look if I can just continue here without these strange looking weird flossels in my screen. Well, I think it's okay now. It's just those high-res images that the photo viewer isn't processing right. So again, a JPEG version here using a very long lens. You see it's not completely straight, so that's something I fixed in my eventual edit. But this is the raw file. You can see it's a lot more hazy. So yeah, a real hazy shot. I think I dehazed it a little bit. And this is the final edit. It's a totally different image, and I really love this one. It's fantastic. And it's the same for this cross image. You see, this is the JPEG out of camera. This is my raw file. And this is the final edit. And you can see that I cut back a little bit on the left top, cropped it a little bit, and turned it so that the cross is straightened out. And I think that looks absolutely amazing. So this spot over here, I didn't really like that. So that's why I cropped it back. And now it looks like this river of mist flowing down the mountain. So that's why I did it. And there's not much color in this image. So that's why I went for the black and white, so that I could increase those contrast and that cross would be much more visible in the final image. This is another one of that same scene, only taken a little bit wider. And just look on top here, you see, you can't see the cross up here at the moment. And you even can't see it in the edit. This is the raw file. So this is the JPEG out of camera. This is the edited, the raw file, sorry. So JPEG, raw file, and the next image is my final result edit. And you can see that by pulling down those highlights and stuff, that this cross has appeared here on top. It's barely visible, but it is there. So you can't see it in the other images, but you can see it in the final edit. And I absolutely love this image. Especially I lightened up this section a little bit. So this S-curved flow goes down here into that valley. I absolutely love this one, fantastic. This is a little bit later on the day. Here again I'm experiencing that same problem with the I forgot the JPEG version, so it's the wrong image. You can see I downloaded the ORI file, so that's probably why it isn't working. So we'll just skip that one. This is what I can show. So okay, this is the raw file out of camera, and this is my final edit. So there's a lot more color in this image than in the eventual raw file. So these are the images that you haven't seen in the video. So this is what I recorded while out with my family. Gorges du Verdon is absolutely known for its vultures. So there are a lot of vultures flying around there. And quite difficult to photograph because they often stayed very far away. So in these cases, all these vulture images are shot with the 150 to 400 on full length with teleconverter. So this is about a 1000mm full frame equivalent shot. This is the JPEG out of camera. This is the raw file. You can see it's a bit flat and you lose a bit of contrast, so you don't see those birds. I'm actually quite surprised that that's going quite well in the JPEG version. And this is my final edit. I might have overdone it a little bit on the white balance with this one if I look at it now, but yeah, I think it's quite a nice, interesting image. But I just love the abstractness of this shot. At first you might even not notice these two vultures. You're just looking at, oh, what am I looking at here? And then you might notice these vultures, and yeah, I think it's amazing. So I really like this shot. Very long telephoto shot. So here's another vulture flying just in front of that giant rock. The JPEG version, the raw file, and the final edit of this shot. I just tried to put the focus more on this bird. This is a little village that I noticed in the background. There was just a little bit of light hitting that village. So you see here especially the difference in the color perception of an edit compared to a raw file. So I didn't do much because I don't really like the composition, but it's nice to show you the difference between the color perception. So this is the JPEG out of camera. This is the raw file. You see it's a little bit on the bright side. and this is my final edit. And you see the massive difference in colors here. There's much more color in this image that I really like to use. Here is another vulture flying just in front of that rock face. So there's all these corners, and every time you get in the car, drive a couple corners further, there's a viewing point. We stepped out of the car, looked from that one. So we just kept drove around this whole road in Gorges du Verdon. It was absolutely fantastic. So JPEG, raw file, and this is my final edit, and I'm really happy with this shot also, really abstract. And then you notice that bird, so yeah, absolutely loving this shot. This is a shot from one of these viewing points, just straight down into the bottom of the gorge. This is the JPEG straight out of camera, and again, look at the difference, the massive difference in color perception between the edit and the JPEG version. This is the raw file, and this is my final edit. There are much deeper colors in here, and maybe you don't believe it, but this is actually how you see it there in Gorges du Verdon. This is what it is at that point. That really blue water, those vibrant green colors, orange rock faces. It's absolutely fantastic, and that doesn't really come through in the JPEG because I didn't use the right white balance. So I always do the white balance in post-processing. Here another flying vulture, a little bit closer by, so it's a frame filler, but again, I think this is at 1000 millimeters full frame equivalent. So look at the dark shadows here in the JPEG. You can barely see the bird. This is the raw file, and this is my final edit. So there's much more detail in the bird, and I positioned it a little bit better. I'm not quite too happy with the sky, you know, it's a little bit boring, but at least I could bring back those shadows a little bit for this vulture. So here's one of those viewing points. You can see this road that we're driving on goes around this edge here. So you're driving all the way around here with S-curves and then onto this top, and then eventually we ended up in this spot where this image is taken. You can see this is the JPEG straight out of camera. This is the raw file, and this is my final edit. And I think I overdid it a little bit on editing with this one, but it's a beautiful spot. I think there's a little bit too much blue in this image, so I might have overdone this one. So that's why I probably didn't show it in the video, but you're seeing it in this one. Well, these are some nice images. These could be straight out in a travel magazine, you know, if you want to sell how do you say that? If you want to sell a holiday to France, you know, these are the images that you will see accompanied with them. And this is a massive difference. Just look at this. So we have all these boats here going into that gorge, and I really liked this spot. So JPEG straight out of camera. Let's have a look. This is the raw file, and this is my final edit. So I could really pull back those blue green colors of the water here. Absolutely amazing. Here again, the same scene, just a little bit wider. This is the JPEG straight out of camera, and you can see the water looks a little bit gray, which definitely wasn't the case when we were there. This is the raw file straight out of camera, and here you can see that there is some green bluish colors in that water. But if you apply the right white balance, you see it's getting to life much better. So this is my final edit of this image, and this can go straight into a travel magazine. You know, if you paid attention, I also erased this airplane stripe up there, so you can see that I got rid of that in Photoshop. So yeah, I actually really like this image. It's not a real nature scene or anything, but it represents what the area there looks like in the middle of the day. Lots and lots of tourists. So this is Lac du Verdon at the end of the gorge. So we drove from Castellane to Lac du Verdon on the other side, and this is the JPEG version of that lake. This is the raw file. You can see it's a little bit more flatter, you don't see the colors that good. And this is my final edit, and maybe you don't believe it, but just go there yourself. This is actually what the lake looks like. It is absolute crazy in colors. You know, and I don't think I've ever seen a lake like that. Maybe in Interlaken in Switzerland there's another lake that has a little bit of water like this, but it's just a fantastic place to spend. We spent a whole day there meeting up with my sister. The kids were playing in the water. It was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, this was a really nice spot and amazing colors. So with those raw files you can really pull back the colors that you see in reality, and you can adjust the images to that. So this was another spot, but I forgot to download the JPEG of this version, but I do want to show it to you. This is the raw file, just a straight out of hand high-res shot. This is my final edit, and I absolutely love this shot. Maybe there's a little bit too much blue here on this side, but this is one of those 1 minute edits. It didn't make it to the video, but I do like the position of this shot with this leading line of the water leading into the background. So yeah, I thought it was worth showing. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of those additional shots from Gorges du Verdon that didn't make the videos, but I thought they were worth showing to you in this video. So these were the shots that I wanted to show you, the difference between a JPEG and a RAW file. So how I did this, I just programmed the camera that on the first SD card in slot 1 the camera saved the RAW files, and on the second SD card it saved the JPEG files. That's how I always do it. So you can do it on one SD card. You can save a RAW file and JPEG simultaneously on one SD card, but I only want to download the RAW files normally. The only reason why I want JPEGs is for photographs of my kids. So I don't want to edit those completely. So I do want the JPEGs for if I want one that I want to print from my wall, then I want to edit it. But usually I only download those JPEG files, which are usually pretty good for yeah, those conditions or where I need it for. So that's why I use it like this. I know there are some people that save RAW files on both SD cards just in case one SD card breaks down. Well, if that ever happens to me, yeah, then I'm stupid, I don't know, but I really don't care about it. Then I've lost 1 day of photography. Well, I think I can handle that. So just let me show you these 1 minute edits that I want to show you. This is the RAW file, and this is the final edit. And just look at this massive difference here. I'll put one on the left, one on the right. It's the exact same image. So let me process this shot to show you how fast I can achieve that that point. So let's just look at 1 minute here. So first things first, I go to Adobe Landscape as a color profile. Then I reduce those highlights, pull the shadows up, pull up the whites a little bit, turn down those, and here comes that white balance trick. Just a little bit increasement of white balance. Dehazing it a little bit, so now I'm going all the way down, just enhancing those colors here in the color profile, a little bit like this. And let's see, I think I made it a little bit warmer here with the color tones. Pulling up those whites a little bit here, and I might do it like this. So I did that as a 1:1 crop, so let's do it like in this picture also. So I think that's 1 minute. I don't know if you kept the time. Well, I didn't, but let me show you now. This is what I just did on the right, and this left one is the one you've seen in the video. So I even overdid it a little bit on this one. You see, if I turn it back a little bit, but it's actually quite okay when I do it like this, with the white balance like that. So that was a 1 minute edit to achieve partly this color in the image. I think I made it a little bit lighter also. So I did tweak around a little bit eventually to get that result, but the main edit doesn't take that much time to achieve those colors, to retrieve those colors from the raw file. And you can see that those colors are in here, in this image. I don't add them, I don't brush them in or anything. I just use the highlight, shadow balls and adjust the white balance. So you can achieve those things in your camera if you just want to download a JPEG, but you have to be much more careful on which white balance you will use while taking the image. And in this case I don't pay attention to it because I know I'm gonna because I know I'm going to adjust it while I'm in post-processing. So let me show you another one. For example, is this a nice one? Yeah, let's look at this one. Here, this is the raw file and this is the final result. So let's put them next to each other. Raw, final result. So let's do a quick edit here. Another minute edit. So in this case, I didn't do much to it, but just again increasing that white balance. And I'm going to make it a 2:3. I think I did that. I'm going to straighten the image. Oh, let's not waste too much time of my minute on straightening this image. So something like this. And now I'm going to pull down those blacks a little bit, but I'm also raising those highlights of the clouds. So tweaking around the colors in the bottom a little bit. And you can see that this already makes a massive difference to the final result. So increasing those colors a little bit, and I think this is about it. Maybe a little bit less vibrancy here. So let's have a look here at both images. So yeah, you see I edited it quite similar. So, or is this a different image? Oh, this is the image you've seen in the video, and this is the image that I just edited within 1 minute. So it is very simple to achieve these results. So let's just look at a totally different image here by colors. So let's look at this boat image over here. This one. So you can see we've got these boats, just a shot in the middle of the day. Look at the difference between the left and the right image. Raw file, final result, edit. So let's go to this raw file here, and again let's take 1 minute to edit this shot. So I'm going for the landscape profile. I'm decreasing the contrast a little bit. I think this doesn't make... my computer is failing me. What are you doing? You are wasting my minute. So here we go, a little bit more texture. Then I just got a brush here. So in this case I did use a brush, and I just brushed over this water over here, which takes far less than a minute. Or in fact, I don't know if I did that. First I went to the colors in the bottom here. So let's do that first and see what the result is. So something like this. Do I still have time? I think I still have time left of my minute. And I just changed the white balance of this water in the bottom a little bit, and it looks a little bit greenish bluish. So I think a little bit like this. This is how it looks in reality, and you can see now that the blue in the sky is a little bit overdone, so I'm just gonna pull that back in that section, something like this. So 1 minute edit, just one single minute, and look at the before and after here. Before and after the edit, and this is the final result you've seen in the video, and this is the result that I just edited right here in 1 single minute. So decide for yourself, do I over edit my images or not? I don't think so. I'm not a really big editor. It's just my way of photographing that I choose to go for that auto white balance to adjust it when I'm back here at home. And what I always do is I expose for these highlights. I'm just really careful not to overexpose anything. So most of the raw files are a little bit darker. Of course you have to be careful because the darker sections get more noise than the brighter images. So there's always a bit of a problem point there that I'm facing. So sometimes I use a bracket if I'm not confident that there's the noises is getting out of the image, so then I bracket it, or I use a high res shot so I get more dynamic range between those shadows and those highlights. And those high res shots usually don't contain any noise or much noise at all. So yeah, just make sure in those cases, if you're shooting a dark image, keep the ISO as low as possible. If you're shooting a little bit of a brighter image like the one you're seeing here on the screen, it really doesn't matter what you use for ISO. You can easily shoot this at ISO 1600. You won't have any problems with noise. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show you, the difference between those raw files and the final results. And just a question for you, do you want to see these raw files in my videos, in every video? Just let me know that in the comment. Maybe I can do it at the end of the video. I'll just show every raw file compared to the edit. Just so that you know that there's not much editing involved for me here. So hopefully you understand now that 1 minute makes a massive difference to an image. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and this Sunday is going to be another episode of my holiday with my family, but we're not in the south of France anymore. So we continued our trip to a different location, and you will see all of that in Sunday's video. So if you like to see that, or if you enjoyed this video, then please push that thumbs up button, and there is a subscribe button underneath here. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing, and you will get a message from YouTube when that next video is released. And I can already say that it's gonna be an absolute epic episode this Sunday. So make sure to check that out, and I hope to see you then. Bye bye.